Yeah. I wanted to join the Masters of Evil, and they said that they need to see how evil I am. Well, they're about to find out just how evil I really am when they come in here and see what I've done and take a whiff of the room. Oh, yeah. They're going to make me the leader. This is how evil this is. Oh, well. Let's see. Marvel Strike Force infographics from the Circle Jerk of content creators. Well, these are only good for toilet paper now, so I'll just use them. Yeah, that feels nice. So soft and gentle. Marvel Strike Force infographics. The only toilet paper for me. Hello and welcome. I am Dogbert, and I have the plunger on my head, so you know what that means. That's right. It's time for another Dogbert's Team Toilet Paper Infographic! I know you've been waiting for this one because we're talking about the Masters of Evil today. Let's start wiping. And first up, we got Kang, the most important member of this team. Useful inside and outside his team. Useful in raids if you know what you're doing. And have him built big enough. The recommended ISO for him will be Striker if you're looking for just one ISO. Now you can, there are situations where you want to run Raider. Longer fights, where you need more survivability on him, but for the most part, you're going to be looking at Striker, though you can switch back and forth as you need to. As for his T-Force, his basic is recommended. He doesn't need this in order to work, but he does work much better with it. And that's because you get extra damage out of this, and if you're running him as Striker, you're going to be using this pretty much a lot because you want to get the extra turn meter out of him. The Disrupt is nice too, but not really necessary. As for his special, it is a nice to have. In reality, if you're running Striker, you're going to be favoring going to that basic over this special, and his focus sucks, so you don't really get those slows out of the special, although the special can hit pretty hard. So it's something to keep in mind. And his ultimate, absolutely required. You definitely want to have as much damage as possible. The fact that it's clearing barrier, all those nice things like that it does is just extra on the top of the cake. Gravy on top of the potatoes, whatever the hell you want to say. I don't know. Don't listen to me, I'm a dog. And his passive. If there's ever a category where we go above required, this is it. This one makes the character work. This is what makes him give out turn meter on spawn. You absolutely positively need this T4 to make Kang work the way you expect. No ifs, ands, or buts. You have to have this T4. Well, let's go ahead and wipe on to our next one. That is Titania. Now, she's actually a pretty good character. I actually do like her. But unfortunately, she's just kind of with the Masters of Evil, and that's it. Her ISO recommendation is Raider. She does have on crit things. Therefore, you want more Raider, more crit. You want her to crit. Her basic is just a luxury. In reality, I don't really think I've used it, to be honest with you. So it is definitely just a luxury T4. Doesn't really do anything special. And on top of this, it's just damage. Her special is a recommended. You don't need it to make her work, but it's a lot nicer to have it. That's for sure. This gives a whole bunch of extra damage, as I recall. I forget. Oh, now I remember. It gives Safeguard and Crucible, which would be nice if the character you're going against has Safeguard. If you're going against a team like that, that is a nice thing to have. But it's mostly for the damage you want that. Now, her ultimate is highly, highly recommended. This will be what you use on turn 1. This is a bunch of extra damage to it. She hits like a truck. I definitely highly recommend it. And last not least, the passive. You're going to be using her Cosmic Crucible. This gives you speed bar on spawn. Required. You need this. It helps the entire team, not just her. You definitely want this passive. It's, again, another required one. Well, we're up to the third position. If you're new here, you're about to learn what happens when we get here. And if you've been here before, you know it's time for the turd of the team. That's right, the turd of the team, the most replaceable character on this team. The one you probably don't even want to build. And on this team, you can actually replace them because it's not a horseman team. But eventually you'll need them for a legendary of some sort. So you're going to have to build this character anyway. So, who is the turd of the team? Why? It's that piece of shit absorbing man. And you're going to need an extra heavy duty toilet paper here to get this piece of shit out of here. Because my god, does this one suck. Now I know the circle jerk of content creators out there like to tell you put Raider on him. And if you look at MSF.gg, the circle jerk on there also tells you to put Raider on him. In reality, if you actually play the team, actually playing Cosmic Crucible, you'll find out you need to put Fortifier on him. Why? Because chances are he's not going to even survive to get a first turn. He does do an on-spawn taunt, a pre-taunting tank, which is great. Protects the other Masters of Evil. The odds are, but he's so goddamn slow, good luck getting a turn out of him. He's usually dead. I actually had a Cosmic Crucible match last night where he actually survived and he took a turn. I didn't know what to do. I was not used to that. It doesn't usually happen. He's a piece of shit. But as far as his T4s, basic, luxury, special luxury, ultimate luxury, what do they do? I don't remember. I never get to use them. They're all just luxuries. You can literally just not put any T4s in this character and be perfectly fine because you're not going to get to really use him. He's just going to die. The only one that you could have that's nice to have is the passive, just to get some extra resistance on him and put some counters on Titania. This is borderline luxury too. In reality, like I said, I wouldn't even bother putting T4s into him anymore. That's how crappy his character is. He is definitely the turd of the team. Moving on, we come to Ultron, who looks on paper, might be you think is the turd, but in reality he's actually quite good and quite useful on this team. Because he gives out buffs, and because the way like Titania gets sped up whenever she gets a buff, it's quite nice, and he actually does quite a bit of damage when he takes a turn. His ISO has become a Raider. I know we always used to run him as Striker before his rework, but on this team, he is definitely a Raider because he's getting extra crit and stuff from Kang. So that's something to think about. As for his basic's nice to have. In reality, you're probably not going to use it very often, but it's nice to have it out there in case you do actually get to use it. His special, this is up with a Kang. In order to make this character work, you absolutely need this special. This makes the bots attack when they're summoned and everything. It gives you a lot of bonuses in Crucible. Very much required. His ultimate is also required. He does big damage with this ultimate, and with this, he clears off those death proofs, so you're definitely killing a character with him. I've seen him hit for 800,000, 1 million, depending on how, if you have offense up, defense down, stuff like that happening, and he crits. So you definitely want to get those big numbers out of your Ultron. And his passive also required to make him work. Ultron is the most T4 heavy of the team that absolutely needs these T4s to make him work the way he's supposed to. So to keep that in mind. Now we come to the sleeper character. That's right, Moonstone. This is a character I think could be a sleeper that could come up in other game modes, maybe being used with Kang, and, you know, somewhere where you're competitive, going for power cores every day. Could be used there. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see once we get our hands on her. But I am actually going to tell you to run Skirmisher on her. As an overall, I just want to put one ISO on her and forget her. Just put Skirmisher on her. Now, people in the Circle Jerk are looking at her at like 7-7, level 90, level 95, gear 17, whatever. In reality, we're probably only going to have a 3 or 4 Moonstone, and at that level, she has lower focus. And that low focus does get counteracted in Crucible, where she gives herself a bonus, and the Masters of Evil bonus to focus. But if you want to use her outside of Crucible, which I imagine you do, just put Skirmisher on her, so she can actually land the debuff she needs to land, which is like her stun, her trauma. So when we look at her kit, her basic is a very good basic. This is just a little bit of extra damage, not really something we want to be investing into. Plus, I'm not exactly sure how often we'll actually get to use it, because once we look at the ultimate and special, you look at those kits, and those things are ready turn 1. Those are going to be your first 2 turns. You wouldn't even use the basic until turn 3, and we're not really getting her called to assist. So her special is required in Crucible. This gives out the trauma, and I forget what the other thing is. So if you, and it also knocks back turn meter. It's a weird little special. You're pretty much going to be debating, depending on the team and the matchup you're going against, whether you use a special or ultimate turn 1 is probably going to alternate. We'll have to get more into Moonstone in another video. Her ultimate also required for what it does. It's incredibly required. This gives it a stun component. You absolutely want that turn 1 stun ability. If you can get it out of there, great. Now, the passive I put is recommended. If you're using your Cosmic Crucible, you're going to be using this team heavy in Cosmic Crucible, and maybe you're not landing the debuffs even with Skirmisher, then you definitely want the passive. The passive gives an extra 100% focus to her and all the other Masters of Evil. Almost required, but in reality, you can work without it, so therefore it went down to recommended. How do we know we can work without it? Because we're using the other 4 already and already killing everything. So, it's really not needed, but it's a highly recommended passive because of how much focus it's giving out to her and the rest of the team to land her debuffs. So that does it for the Masters of Evil Team Toilet Paper Infographic. I hope I'm making you a little bit better player and a little bit understanding of why I'm saying these things. While like Moonstone, I'm saying run Skirmisher because we're going to have her at low stars. Unless you're a Kraken who's getting them up at 6 or 7, then things could change. Now, if you're going to run her with that passive and recommended, I almost forgot to mention this, then you can definitely run her as a Raider inside of Cosmic Crucible. But like I said, outside of Cosmic Crucible, you're probably going to run Skirmisher. You might just want to leave it like that. So until next time, everybody,